Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got a great show for you today. First of all, I got good news for you. If you've been waiting for the weekend, you made it. I'm going fishing right after this show is over, and I hope you have as glorious a weekend as I'm planning to have. But we got a great show for you today. We're going to start with a story about Nancy Pelosi and the Capitol Police. They have now asked to extend the National Guard basically indefinitely, but a few more months. They're supposed to be gone, I think, by the middle of this month, but it looks like they're going to have the guard surrounding the Capitol for some time to come, and we'll talk about that. And then the question that we kind of started with yesterday a little bit, why are they hiding Biden? Why is Biden virtually in hiding? He hasn't done a press conference in like 44 days. He's supposed to do a State of the Union address sometime, and Biden is basically just disappearing. You don't see him in public much at all. So we're going to get into an opinion piece by Joe Concha about that. But before we go any further, I have to talk to you about our sponsors, I should say, but our primary sponsor is Big Daddy Unlimited, otherwise known as BDU. Look above the show, no matter when or where you're watching it, above the video, and you will see a description of the show. Scroll down on that. You'll see various links. One of them will take you to Big Daddy Unlimited, your Second Amendment headquarters, which you will get factory direct pricing on guns and ammunition delivered directly to your door, as well as thousands, literally 100,000 other items related to the Second Amendment, from protective gear to actually, tactical gear to survival type stuff to even swag. You can't go wrong going to Big Daddy Unlimited. Their prices you cannot beat. They're also your Second Amendment headquarters because they defend your Second Amendment on a daily basis. We also have patriotthreads.org. I was rocking one of their shirts yesterday. If you want to look at an example, look at our podcast from yesterday. But patriotthreads.org is apparel with a purpose. Remember, John Martin Talks, the initials JMT, you get 20% off. They are a total fulfillment center. So especially if you're looking to do a charity event, from a fishing tournament to a motorcycle club to a run, and you want patriotic shirts to give to your customers or to your participants, check out patriotthreads.org. Remember the promo code JMT for 20% off. They can put the shirts together. They're a total what they call fulfillment center, and they can help you with your charity, not only in designing the shirts, but making sure the proceeds are divided the way you want them to and go to the charity of your choice. We also have Recoil TV that is working in conjunction with Big Daddy Unlimited. Recoil TV has their own YouTube channel. Check it out, Recoil TV. Of course, we have our own John Martin Talks, spell it all the way out. But we are partnered with Recoil TV, and they archive our show. If you want to see videos that are Second Amendment related, from the latest guns to ammunition to tactical gear, you cannot go wrong by checking out Recoil TV. All right, let's get into the show here. This first article is from the Washington Post. Capitol Police request extension of National Guard to protect Congress, defense officials say, according to the Washington Post. Now, this picture up here is a very sad picture indeed. That is what our great and glorious Capitol, one of the most scenic seats of government in the world, looks like right now. It is like it's a concentration camp, and it's incredible. It is very, very sad, and it is only going to get worse under Democratic leadership. U.S. Capitol Police have requested a 60-day extension of some of the 5,200 National Guard members activated in the District of Columbia in response to security threats and the January 6th assault on Congress. Defense officials said on Thursday. Now, I say Pelosi because she did come out after this story kind of broke and said, oh, yeah, we're doing it to protect the country from Trump's boys, Trump's people, Trump's men. So she minces no words. And keep in mind that the Speaker of the House is in charge of Capitol security. So she's the one that put out this order, make no mistakes about it. But I'm a bit confused about this. We saw the picture we just had up there of a fence with barbed wire, but I thought that walls didn't work. I didn't think walls actually worked. Now, this is from this picture right here. If you haven't seen this, this is the horrendous crash of an SUV out in California a couple of days ago that had 28, now they're saying 28 people stacked up in that SUV right there, and it pulled out in front of a semi. Remember, this particular vehicle is designed to hold 6 people, but they took the seats out of it and stacked in 28 people. And this is actually the site where they believe they came through the wall. The wall was torn down. It's falling apart right there. And they came through that wall and got killed. Now, you could say that if they had a wall that was formidable, these people would actually still be alive. I put the blood on the hands of the Democrats for these people. I'm not excusing them for bum rushing the border. I'm not excusing them for pulling out in front of that semi. These people are desperate. As I've been saying the last couple of days, just how desperate do you have to be the 28th person getting in that SUV? Pretty dadgum desperate. And it is Joe Biden and the Democrats that are creating this sense of urgency for people to get here. And so I put it totally on their doorstep, so to speak. Back to this story. 2 defense officials said the extension has been received by the Defense Department. We're talking about extending the troops for a couple of more months, the National Guard in D.C. Defense Department, and we will be considered by Army officials and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. If approved, it would keep Guard members on duty through May, the official said, speaking on the condition of anonymity because of the sensitivity of the issue. The sensitivity of the issue. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just tell you right now, and I'm not making excuses for anybody who attacked the Capitol, the insurrection, whatever heck you want to call it. But this is political theater, pure and simple. There is always a certain threat level to our political leaders. There has been really since 9/11 and even probably before that, right? So there's always a threat level. But this keeping the troops there, this fencing in the Capitol, make no mistake about it, it is political theater. It is for the optics of Congress. The Democrats want to paint a picture that they are under siege and that their salvation is Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer. Our salvation is, by the way, I suppose. So make no mistake about it. This is absolutely political theater. And if they're really too scared to operate at the Capitol without the National Guard and all this fencing up there, maybe they should just resign. Maybe if you don't have the cojones to stand up to potential threat, I'm not condoning threats, but when you become a political figure, especially now, of course, the Democrats have threatened political figures, from the outhouse to the White House. But think about this. This is Donald Trump back during the 2016 campaign when people one individual bum rushed the stage, not knowing if they were trying to attack Donald Trump. But check this out.
Rallies are seldom without incidents, and today in Dayton was no exception. Somebody rushed the stage, but was quickly disabused of going further by the Secret Service, which formed a protective cordon around the candidate.
I was ready for him, but it's much easier if the cops do it. Don't we agree?
Now, so he tried to look at that right there. Donald Trump, and then candidate Donald Trump. Now, you got to know that he's a human being, regardless of what some of y'all might think. So he certainly has a certain amount of fear, no doubt, somebody charging the stage like that. But he didn't show it. He didn't shirk his duty, and he kept right on going. Donald Trump was under threat quite a bit during his presidency, yet he kept on going. He didn't ask for in matter of fact, and I probably should have pulled up that picture, when the White House was surrounded by people besieging the White House, and yes, they breached the perimeter, and there were shots fired. Donald Trump, they took him, he didn't even want to go, he said, down into the bunker. He came out fairly quickly. But not too long after that, he went right out there, went across to that church that they had set on fire. Donald Trump, man, is a bosses of bosses. So if you're scared, just say you're scared. Resign. If you can't hold up to the pressure of being a member of Congress and you're too terrified to go in there without armed troops, then just go home. That's the way I see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Chime in on Facebook and let me know. All right, we're going to move along here to an article from The Hill, and it's by Joe Concha. Joe Concha opinion piece. If you don't know who Joe Concha is, you might have seen him. He's a somewhat regular on Sean Hannity's show, but he's an opinion writer for The Hill, and I have a lot of respect for him. Excuse me. Hang on one second. But this is his opinion piece. Why is Joe Biden dodging the public and the press? And this is opinion piece by Joe Concha in The Hill. Joe, I love this picture. We posted it yesterday, but I can't get enough of it. This one's different. Some of y'all may not get the gag, but if you think about it a minute, you will. President Biden is not unlike candidate Biden in terms of being largely hidden from the public and press. Already the decision by his team to limit his interactions with the media while barely traveling outside of the White House to address the concerns of the American people is wearing thin if new polls are any indication. Now remember that this idea of keeping Biden hidden has been part of their strategy since it was, going back to the campaign. They basically ran out the clock. Some of you may have not seen this video. I've played it before, but of course, if I play it, it deserves replaying. This is Terry McAuliffe. This is like a Zoom call among top Democrats, and they're discussing the strategy of candidate Biden. Terry McAuliffe, who, keep in mind, was not only the former governor of Virginia. I understand he's running again. God help us if he gets reelected up there. Virginia, please. Once is more than enough for Terry McAuliffe. But Terry McAuliffe was not only a henchman, if you will, one of the main workers for the Clinton administration, Bill Clinton, but he was also chairman of the National Democratic Party. So this guy knows politics. Love him, hate him, whatever. He is highly respected for his political knowledge. And in this Zoom conference, he tells you specifically what they should do with Joe Biden. Check it out.
People say all the time, oh, we got to get the vice president out of the basement. He's fine in the basement. 2 people see him a day, his 2 body people. That's it.
He's fine in the basement. Think about that. Here you have the former governor of Virginia, the former chairman of the Democratic Party, saying that, hey, Joe Biden's fine in the basement. Just keep him in the basement. If he's basically saying if he sees 2 people, that's 2 people too much. So this has been a strategy all along. So I guess we shouldn't be surprised that since it won in the election, because think about this. If you believe, we don't say the F word here on John Martin Talks. We don't say the F word. We say mod. It rhymes, something that rhymes with that. So if you don't believe there was voter mod, and we don't say the S word, we rhyme it. If you believe there was a squeal attempt, then, and you don't believe in the mod or the squealing, then you have to buy certain things. I hadn't said this in a while, but let's put it out there. First of all, you have to buy this, that if I came to you on November 2nd, the day before the November 3rd general election, and said tomorrow that President Trump, by the time all the votes are counted, will have 12 million more votes, roughly, than he did in 2016, and he will have the highest vote total of any incumbent president ever. What would you say to me if I said it? Would you say that he's a shoo-in to win then? If that actually happens, he's guaranteed to win, right? He didn't. You also have to buy that Joe Biden, the guy that they said was better off in the basement, got more votes than anyone in history. In other words, the guy that stayed in the basement, that his own people were saying, keep him in the basement, was the greatest candidate in the history of politics. And that he got about 10 million more votes than Barack Obama. Yeah, that there were people, if you believe all of that, then you have to believe that there were, because the statistics are out there, the stats are out there, that Joe Biden got black Americans that were registered to vote that did not vote for Obama in 2008 or 2012, but turned out to vote for Biden in 2020. I'd love to talk. I'm not saying they don't exist, but I'd love to talk to a Black American, African American, whatever you want to say. I'm serious about this. Chime in on Facebook or YouTube and let me know, because I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to meet the Black American that was not inspired enough to come out to vote for Barack Obama twice, but was so overwhelmingly inspired for Joe Biden's message. What was that message, by the way, that they inspired to come out and vote when they never voted before? I mean, you got to believe all of that, as Biden would say, malarkey, to believe there was no mod and no squealing going on. It's now been more than 6 weeks since Biden took office. God help us. He has yet to hold a press conference during a pandemic that has claimed more than 107,000 lives since his inauguration. So more people have died since he was voted in the office than before. It's just crazy. A few months before. And not even Dr. Jill, who's not a real, do you know she's not a real doctor? Remember when I think it was Whoopi Goldberg said on The View that she would pick Jill Biden for Surgeon General because she's a terrific doctor, even though she has an honorary doctorate degree in education, no medical degree whatsoever. But Dr. Jill can't even keep Joe straight these days because, you know, she was like pulling him back, tugging at him and everything else. But it's impossible to keep Joe straight. Heck, he can't even keep Jill straight. Remember this video from the campaign? Check it out.
They don't call Super Tuesday for nothing. By the way, this is my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, no, this is the... Oh, you switched on me.
He doesn't even know his wife from his sister. Now, in some states, that might be normal. I don't know. But in the state of denial that Joe Biden is in, I guess it is normal. But even Jill can't get it straight. So think about this, ladies and gentlemen. The press, the mainstream media, refused to cover just how bad Joe Biden has been faltering over the past year and a half, basically. The press hated Donald Trump. Get your mind around this. The press hated Donald Trump so much that they gave us this dude, man. They gave us Joe Biden. You got to believe if they had covered him the way they should have, that people might have had at least one thought, if not a second thought or two, about voting for that dude. Back to the story here. It says here's talking about Joe Biden's COVID-19 relief bill with a price tag of nearly $2 trillion. Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, this relief bill is a bailout bill for the poorly run Democratic cities and states. That's what it is. Only about 9 or 10% of this $2 trillion actually goes to real citizens for COVID relief. But his COVID-19 relief bill with a price tag of nearly $2 trillion and what will be the largest spending bill in U.S. history should be sold to the public by the president, just as his old boss, Barack Obama, sold the American Recovery Investment Act in various speeches across the country. So what Mr. Concha is saying here is if we're going to have the largest spending bill in the history of the nation, shouldn't Joe Biden do a whistle-stop tour and go around and explain himself and why we actually need this? Why we're going to have the largest spending bill in the history of our country? Shouldn't he have to go out and sell this, do what presidents normally do all the time? Apparently not. Biden and his equally invisible vice president, and you know, that's a good point. Where's Kamala Harris? Everybody was worried about Kamala Harris being the real de facto president, but she's kept an extremely low profile, has she not? Maybe there's no there with her. I've been hearing from sources, fairly reliable political sources, that the real power behind the throne is actually Barack Obama, not Kamala Harris. And Rice, what is her name? Susan Rice, who Biden appointed to one of his, I think she's the head of domestic policy or something like that, that she's actually the liaison between the White House and Obama. I don't know. That's what I'm hearing, and it makes sense. But Biden and his equal invisible vice president are vaccinated, so the COVID-19 excuse for not venturing out, which was used throughout 2020 presidential campaign, is no longer applicable. And I think Mr. Concha makes a good point. If this vaccine is worth a hill of beans, and I'm not saying it's not, but if Joe Biden, who remember said there wasn't even a vaccine available until I got here, and he got vaccinated like 3 weeks before he became president, I mean, yeah, that dude. But if the vaccine is worth a hill of beans, then shouldn't they, since he and Kamala have both been vaccinated, as well as Pelosi and Schumer and all the top people, should they be afraid to go out? I mean, if this thing is really what they're selling us on, then Joe Biden should have no problem going out, right? I don't know. Maybe he's infected with something else. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I played this the other day. This was just last week. I've been playing clips from the campaign, but this is less than a week old. Biden was out in Texas, just got off Air Force One, and was doing the routine thing about thanking the local congressional delegation and all that, when he literally asked the question basically we all should be asking. He asked the best question so far that has been asked of Biden. He asked it himself. Check it out.
I think he was getting on a plane. He told me he came in to see me last event. And Representatives Shirley Jackson Lee, Al Green, Sylvia Garcia, Lizzie Pinelli, Pinell, and what am I doing here? I'm going to lose track here.
That is the question, is it not? He asked the question of the day, the question of the last couple of months here. What am I doing here? It's a good question, Joe. What in the world are you doing here? What in the world are you doing in the White House, period? How in the heck did you get there? No Maud, no squealing. How in the world, please explain to me how Joe Biden got to the White House. Now, if you accept that there was no voter Maud and there was no anybody stopping the squealing, then you have to accept that the people actually voted for Joe Biden. Now, I don't dispute that he got the most ballots. There's really no question about that, which is why they want to push forward this SB1, for instance, that we talked about the last couple of days. Go check out our podcast. The best way to do that is to go to John Martin Talks Facebook page or John Martin Talks YouTube, or you could go to Recoil TV. We also are archived on America's Voice News. If you haven't checked them out, you need to do so. America's Voice News is a great alternative to the mainstream media. They're on Fire Stick, Roku, Apple TV. You can download a free app on your Android or your iPhone. America's Voice News, Channel 219, Dish Network, and the Pluto channel. We don't have a live show on there right now, but if you go to their streaming service, click on the shows tab, you can search for us, and we are on there on a daily basis. So check it out. Let them know, hey, they should put us back on live. But Biden says, what am I doing here? And that is an excellent question. The reason why he's in the White House, ladies and gentlemen, absent any maud or squealing, is because the mainstream media refused to cover just how bad Joe Biden was getting. And let me tell you, I work with elderly people all the time. My wife has a home health care business, and she's also a nurse that works in nursing homes. So I deal with elderly people all the time. I don't, with any relish, watch a person deteriorate. I had to watch my mom. She lived to 98 years old, God rest her soul. We lost her a couple years ago now. But I took care of her. I was her primary caregiver because we don't throw people away in my family. But it does me no joy to just say that Joe Biden is slipping. There's no question. And let me just tell you, as someone, as I say, who's experienced all of this before, it ain't going to get better. We're seeing the best of Joe Biden. This should scare you to death. We're seeing the best Joe Biden is going to be right now. Right now. For context regarding presidential press conferences, George W. Bush first met with press day 34 of his presidency. Barack Obama held his first press conference on day 20. Donald Trump on day 27. Biden, I think, is currently on day 45 and is not soon. More context. On Wednesday, Biden delivered remarks to House Democrats. We played this yesterday, but if you hadn't seen it, just wait and see this. On Wednesday, Biden delivered remarks to House Democrats. Afterward, he offered to take questions, curiously adding, if that's what I'm supposed to do. And look at what happens, and we'll come back. So play this video. This is Joe Biden at the end of his virtual meeting with House members. Well, I think it speaks for itself. Check it out.
Thank you. And I'm happy to take questions if that's what I'm supposed to do, Nance, whatever you want me to do.
They cut the feed. Did you catch that? He said, I'll take questions if that's what I'm supposed to do, Nance. And I'm assuming that's one of his staff members. And they cut the feed. They weren't about to let that dude take a question, an impromptu question, even from people who are supporters of his. And I still maintain, and you saw it in that video, that the hardest job in America is not the presidency, not Joe Biden. It is whoever is doing his interpretations for the hearing impaired. Can you imagine being that person up there and you're going, how do I say that? Or what did he really mean? I mean, that's the hardest job in America right now, is whoever is doing the sign language for the hearing impaired for Joe Biden, man. You got big props from me, man. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki was again asked this week when a press conference will be scheduled. She again did not give a definitive answer. She never does, by the way, to a rather simple question. She said, we will definitely have one. So, yeah, we're going to have one. It's out there somewhere. I guess, man, the X-Files for the press conference. See the people from the X-Files. We'll definitely have one. We will schedule it, and you'll be the first to know. So the press, you'll be the first to know. What a BS answer. No, because you're pivotal participants in that, she said on Monday. Man, what a BS answer. Love them, hate them, or whatever. At least with Kelly McEnany and Sarah Huckabee Sanders before that, not so much Sean Spicer, because he was kind of deer in the headlights. I'm glad he's having some success on Newsmax, but he wasn't a very good press secretary. But Sarah Huckabee Sanders is the boss. If you have a brain in your head out in Arkansas, you will elect her overwhelmingly. And McEnany, man, oh my God, the combination of those two women is unbelievable, man. But this guy said to the press, you'll be the first to know. We'll let you know. I mean, crazy. Overall, Biden has signed a dizzying 34 executive orders, 13 presidential memoranda, 16 proclamations, and 3 presidential notices since Inauguration Day on January 20th. The only thing missing are 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. I love that. That's pretty good. I mean, this guy is ruling by fiat, basically, right? That's why they don't mind the Capitol being surrounded by military guards, because, you got King Biden just going on. But I like what Conscience says here. The only thing missing are 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. But Biden has been giving us some gifts, hadn't he? I mean, he's giving us gifts on a daily basis. We talked about it the last couple of days. This is what Biden thinks are actually gifts to the American people. Check it out.
We can afford to do this this is a big country. The idea we can accommodate more people in the interest of the United States. And by the way, guess what? They're the reason why. The legal as well as undocumented are the reason why our society is functioning. The reason why our economy is growing. We don't talk about that. We stand up and act like it's a burden. It is not a burden. It's a gift.
It's a gift. So illegal aliens that are coming across the border now that we're capturing, that almost 7%, like I said 6.3, but the number has been revised up. It's like 6.9% of the gifts that are coming across our border right now are testing positive for COVID and being shipped out across America now and released into Texas and places like Maryland, North Carolina, and New Jersey, not to name just a few. Those are the gifts that are bringing COVID to you. The gifts that ran out in front of that semi. 28 people. I say again, how desperate do you have to be the 28th person to pack into that SUV? How desperate? Extremely so. And Joe Biden and the Democrats are taking advantage of them for political power. It is really criminal when you stop and think about it. Perhaps Biden, back to the Concha article here, opinion piece, perhaps Biden could also sell the relief bill during a speech to a joint session of Congress, traditionally given with a few days of any modern president, basically the State of the Union. Going back to Ronald Reagan in 1991, the new president has delivered this address in January. Listen to what Biden said on January 14th, before he became president, just a week basically out. He said, next month, talking about February at that point, right? In my first appearance before a joint session of Congress, I will lay out my Build Back Better recovery plan. It will make historic investments in infrastructure, manufacturing, innovation, and research development in clean energy. All I hear is crickets. Now, what is it? Billy Bob, in case you hadn't met my psychic sidekick, Billy Bob Bass, he has a Twitter handle. It's at Billy Bob Bass 1, and mine is at John Martin Talks. We're determined, by the way, to stay in the public square. We're going to stay on Facebook. You know, we're going to try to stay out of jail. We're going to try to, you know, work around Mr. Algorithm, all that stuff. So we're going to stay in the public square as long as we can. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you all the time, if you're going to be someone who wants to watch programming like this, you got to support sponsors. You got to support those of us in the fight. You may not be a fighter yourself. You got to support those of us in the fight. You got to search out this programming because our numbers are being pushed back by Facebook and other media all the time. But you got to search us out and share us far and wide. Check it out. But Billy Bob tells me that Joe Biden actually has been practicing for a State of the Union address. And we actually have an exclusive clip of Joe Biden practicing for his State of the Union address to the American people. Check it out.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Billy Bob pulled a fast one. You know the thing. If you ever wanted to know why he's not giving a State of the Union address, I think that video right there pretty much sums it up, because he go up there, you know the thing, man. Oh my God. But it's unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen, what we have got in the White House. And like I say, it does me no joy to say this dude is losing it. And I say again, this is what's really scary. Right now, we're getting the best that Joe Biden is ever going to be as president. When you go back and look what he said just last week or earlier this week, when he goes, what am I doing here? Why am I here? That's the best we're ever going to get. That Joe Biden is not going to get better. He's only going to get worse. And the mainstream media, the never Trumpers, the progressive leftists who don't care, by the way, I've come to this realization, they don't care about this, about Joe Biden. They don't care if he looks Looney Tunes. As long as they get their policies pushed forward, that's all that matters. The fact that Joe Biden is just bat crazy, they don't care about that. It's just about getting the policies pushed forward. Keep in mind, I'm going to play this video. I've played it before. It's comical. It's also sad, because this is Joe Biden like 2 years ago, almost, I guess 3 years ago now, when he was doing his speech about at that pool dedication, and he talked about popcorn and all that. He talked about it's a cartoon, but this is actually Joe Biden in his own words talking about his experience as a lifeguard. Check it out.
And by the way, you know, I got hairy legs that turn turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach into the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was 3 years ago. 3 years ago. What are we going to get out of Biden now? And keep in mind, I always got to point this out. When he talks about roaches, he's talking about, I learned about roaches, he's talking about black children. No one ever even asked him that question during the campaign, but that's what he was talking about. Where is this going to leave us, ladies and gentlemen? We know how this ends, man. We do. It reminds me, watching Joe Biden reminds me of one of my favorite rides back in the day at Disney World, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. If you've never been on it, I don't even know if they still have it down there, but Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, if you know what I'm talking about, then you know how this ends with Joe Biden, just like this. Joe Biden is a train wreck just waiting to happen. And the United States of America and the American people are the ones in that truck waiting to be blindsided by Joe Biden. This man has the codes to the nuclear weapons. And even Democrats are questioning that now. So I keep repeating it, but I don't say this with any great relish. But this is the best Joe Biden is ever going to be. It's scary, man. It's scary. All right, we got a few minutes left, so we got time to get into one more quick story here. This is from Newsweek. Biden's Neanderthal thinking remark prompts furor in Mississippi. Now, in case you didn't hear about this, I talked about it briefly yesterday, but Biden basically said that those states, and he was talking about Mississippi, Texas, and I think there's a total of 16 now, that have basically done away with the mandatory masking at the state level. Doesn't mean you can't wear one. Doesn't mean that private business can't continue to enforce that rule if they choose to. It just means that you, as an American, as a rugged individualist, have the God-given right to assess your own risk, period. You know, and I put this up there because I've been talking about this the last few months now, about like a Gulf alliance, an alliance between states like Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, and Texas. And I'm not talking about secession, although I did talk about that a couple of days ago. I told you that if that HB1 actually passed, and I mean passes the Senate, then we may have real secession, because I just don't think we can live with that. So, but I think you're going to see economic alliances, if you will, between certain states and the red states, for instance. But Biden essentially called people that live in the states that have done away with the mask mandates, he called them none other than, I was sorry to say Cro-Magnon, but Neanderthals. He said, you're a Neanderthal. And as my producer picked that, Neanderthal lives do actually matter, right? Aren't the Neanderthals supposed to be the smarter of the missing links before Homo sapiens? I believe so. Biden told reporters it is a big mistake that some governments are loosening COVID-19 restrictions on Wednesday, adding, the last thing we need is Neanderthal thinking. So, people, if you believe in freedom, if you believe we should open up the economy, if you believe we should open up the schools, then you're a Neanderthal. I mean, everything but a patriotic American. Couldn't we just be, Joe, couldn't we just be patriotic Americans that believe in rugged individualism and the freedoms that are protected by our U.S. Constitution? We're protected, supposedly, from the overreach of people like you, wannabe little Napoleons and that kind of thing. You know, senile old people that watching Rome burn, that type of thing. Couldn't that possibly be true, that we're actually patriotic Americans? Why do we have to be everything but a child of God? Now, I wear with honor. I'm a Trump chump. There's no question about it. I was a basket of deplorable. I became a dreg, and I guess I'm part of that 15% that are mostly bad people that Biden talked about. And now I am a Neanderthal, baby. I wear it with pride, man. Those of us, I hope to catch some Neanderthal, some Cro-Magnon fish while I'm out there this weekend. Some politicians are taking Biden's word as a personal attack, criticizing the president for insulting those who have decided it's safe to no longer wear masks as a safety precaution for spreading the virus. So I like how they say here, some politicians are taking Biden's word as a personal attack. It is a personal attack. There's just no question about it. This is a video that Joe Biden did before he became president, when he talks about people that basically support Donald Trump. That's what he's talking about. Listen to what he says about 15% of Americans, which just happens to be, about 60, 70 million people. Listen to what he thinks about you. Check it out.
And it's about the attitude of the country. Do we want our kids, do we really think this is as good as we can be as a nation? I don't think the vast majority of people think that. There are probably anywhere from 10 to 15% of the people out there that are just not very good people. But that's not who we are. The vast majority of the people are decent. We have to appeal to that, and we have to unite
15% of people are just mostly bad people. And he said, we can do better than that. Think about this. This is the best we're going to get from Joe Biden. I keep saying it, but it's true. It's scarily true. He's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse, man. President Biden said allowing Mississippians to decide how to protect themselves is Neanderthal thinking, the governor of Mississippi tweeted on Wednesday. He said Mississippians don't need handlers. As numbers drop, they can assess their choices and listen to experts. I guess I just think we should trust Americans, not insult them. Amen. What is it with the Democrats, going back to Hillary Clinton even before, that have to insult people? Why can't we just have differences of opinions? Why do we have to be everything but a child of God? I mean, why can't this is true. Coming into the studios this morning, I was given the finger by someone, a young woman, and by the look of the sticker, she's probably a UF student. And she's giving me the finger and hollering at me because I have a Trump bumper sticker on the back of my car. And she's just yelling at me. That actually happens to me quite often. These people are sick and crazy. Trump derangement syndrome is real. Biden's senility is real. It's only going to get worse. Reeves later appeared on Fox News that evening, adding, when President Biden said that we are all Neanderthals, it struck me as someone who needs to get outside of Washington, D.C. and actually travel to middle America. They're not going to let him do that. I mean, think about it. The last time he traveled to, quote, somewhat middle America, he went to Wisconsin a couple weeks ago. And that's where he said that the Uyghur Muslims being tortured, the reason he doesn't speak out about women having electrical prods put up them, sexually assaulted with that, having their organs harvested. The reason why he doesn't criticize Xi, the president of China, for clamping down on people who are seeking freedom in Hong Kong. The reason why he doesn't question China about, trying to intimidate Taiwan is because those are just cultural norms, a difference in cultural norms. So think about that. Joe Biden, in one of the most coherent statements he's made recently, looked right in the camera and said that the torture, the rape, the mutilation of people in China is just cultural norms, the difference. Period. I mean, my God. And this guy is the president right now. It is so sad and so scary. And I keep telling you, but it's true. This is the best he's going to get. They're not going to let him talk to American people as a whole. Representative Dan Crenshaw of Texas, 2nd Congressional District, also fired back at Biden's remarks, suggesting the president cares more about the livelihoods of illegal immigrants than that of American citizens. There's no doubt about it. Have you heard the latest? I just heard this when I went home yesterday. That now, I guess they're leftover Obama phones, but the people who are coming into this country being tested positive for COVID that they're just releasing, they're actually giving them cell phones. They're giving away cell phones. Illegal aliens have more rights than American citizens right now. But Freedom of Choice America's Neanderthal thinking, opening borders to illegal immigrants with COVID compassion, Crenshaw wrote on Twitter. Opening borders, so, he's absolutely right. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley argued that the president's words show he is not following his own message of unity. When did he ever do that? This is what Hawley went on to say. He said, what a uniter Joe Biden is. You know this is Mr. Unity, and yet if you disagree with him, you're a Neanderthal, the senator told Fox News on Thursday. Think about that. Joe Biden is supposed to be the great unifier. He hasn't even attempted to unify us. If anything, he has done just the opposite. The only thing he has unified is people who are desperate enough to pack an SUV, 28 people into a vehicle that's supposed to hold 6, crash across the border, and half of them get killed. Now, he's unified that. Did you see where his Department of Homeland Security Secretary said, don't come, we want you to come, but don't come right now. So just you're so desperate that you would pack that SUV, but just hold back, because in his own words, he said, we'll be better prepared to receive you in a few months. It's just breaking news as I was coming in this morning that the Biden administration has actually said that they're going to turn ISIS detaining facilities into reception centers with the idea, similar to Ellis Island, with the idea of getting illegal immigrants processed in 72 hours and released into our country. It is getting crazier and crazier by the day. And ladies and gentlemen, I hate to tell you, but we are getting the best we're going to see of Joe Biden. I just can't, it just keeps coming back to that. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. I hope you have a glorious weekend. Remember our sponsors, Big Daddy Unlimited. Check them out. Our Recoil TV and PatriotThreads.org. Please spread the word. People thank me for the show all the time. I am very grateful for your loyal support. Spread the word. We need your help. Please do that. But above all else, like I tell you all the time, I'll pray for your family. You pray for mine. Let's all pray for this great nation because she needs it and deserves it more than ever. But like I say each and every day, from my heart, from my family to yours, have a blessed day.